Hey guys, and welcome back to the Blue Podcast Network. This is the Green Show, your home of Championship, League One and League Two football, EFL football, some might say, on the network. I'm joined by our usual hosts. We've got Kian, we've got Lenny, and we've got Matthew, unfortunately, back with us again this week. Apologies, I've not been here for a few weeks. I've been working very hard at my
the
job.
viewing numbers have gone up. It's weird.
Yeah, very weird. But I've been doing jobs, here around the house, doing the cleaning, the cooking.
You sure you don't have any more to do?
But one thing I haven't done is walk the dog. Do you know why? I've got no leads.
That was awful.
Do you want to?
Can't buy a new host, can we?
Kian, talk to us about Leeds.
Leeds are falling apart again. Lovely stuff. But no,
Seriously, you're embarrassing yourselves.
1 win in 4 for Leeds United now. Drew at the weekend to QPR where they were 2-0 down. Come from behind, got a point.
I turned it on at half time thinking, this is going to be great. And then they got 2 goals.
One thing that Daniel Farke said last season was that after 20 minutes, they were 2-0 down to QPR and they ended up losing 4-0.
Yeah.
So,
they've
changed in that regard.
That gave us autos. So,
yeah.
No, I was at half time. I was turning us on 2-0 thinking they're going to lose 4-0 again. It's going to be brilliant. But then they pulled it back.
Mate, I saw Steve Cooker scored. Get in.
I think it was quite a good goal as well from what I remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was
but
good.
no, the gap between first and third, 2 points.
They're 11 points with Sheffield United.
Yeah,
now, aren't they?
and Burnley
What did I say in my predictions, by the way?
I said it as well, didn't
No,
I?
you
might be right.
You still might be wrong though.
I said
They're
Leeds wouldn't
still
go
the
up
favourites. They've got much better goal difference. 26 better than the next team.
Yeah.
Well, but Burnley's is much higher than Sheffield United's, but still they got a higher goal difference than anybody else.
But their leaky defence is I think it's just going to let them down.
But
I think if you look at Burnley, okay, we judged
yeah.
Scott Parker for not having much attacking flair, but he knows how to grind out games in the back half of the season.
Even Sheffield United, I think, have kept 2 clean sheets in their last 4.
But if you look at the games they have left, the only 2 remotely tough ones are Middlesbrough and Bristol City.
And I see Middlesbrough beating them.
But Boroughs and Bristol City are the only 2 tough games. They should win all the other ones comfortably.
Is that Plymouth last game of the season away?
Plymouth Argyle last game of the season away. That could be tough depending on what's going on.
We've seen it happen season after season where Leeds bottle it.
I'm not saying they won't, but I'm saying that they're still the favourites. They've got easy fixtures.
I genuinely think they could bottle it. I genuinely think they'll bottle it.
I'm not denying that, but I think they'll go up.
How many?
If you look at Sheffield United, for one thing, Burnley and Sheffield United still have to play each other, so one of them's going to drop points there.
Yeah.
They still have to play Coventry and they have to play Blackburn. I know they've struggled with form recently, but it's still a tough game.
I mean, Sheffield United have only lost 1 in 10 though.
Yeah, but
they
haven't
Burnley
really.
and Sheffield United have to play each other. So if one of them loses that game, then that gives Leeds 3 points.
Yeah, but no, because aren't Sheffield United and Leeds level on points, right? If Burnley win that game,
but then what if Leeds win that? Then they're 3 points clear of Sheffield United.
And Sheffield United haven't necessarily been winning games convincingly.
No.
I think out of the last 4, the 3 that they've won, they've won by a goal.
Well, yeah, neither of them are winning convincingly, yet Leeds have done.
But I look at the management specifically of these teams, and I think, okay, Daniel Farke, I'd love to know the statistics for how many times he's gotten promoted based on how many attempts he's had at it.
Got from Norwich.
It's not 100%, nowhere near.
He's been twice promoted, I think.
Because he was promoted with Norwich.
Twice,
right?
And
twice with Norwich.
Was it twice with Norwich in the end?
Yeah.
I just... I don't think any of them really are good enough for the Premier League, but obviously I don't think he is. And I look at Steve Wilder and
Chris Wilder.
Steve Wilder.
You were talking about Steve Cook earlier. It's stuck in my head. You got Chris Wilder and who is the Burnley manager? Scott Parker. Nowhere to get promoted from the Championship, mate.
Yeah, but you're talking about Premier League level managers.
None of them
Scott
are.
Parker, surely.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you just say he is, but he's managed in the Prem quite a bit.
So is Parker.
Yeah, but he's never done well. Really.
Neither is Farke.
Yeah, that's the thing. None of them have.
But
I wouldn't say any of them are Premier League.
But if I rank them, forget about the Prem. I forget I said anything about the Prem. But what I'm saying is, if you rank them, I'd still put Farke by a far long shot third in order to get me right.
So if
I put my money on Chris Wilder.
I don't like Daniel Farke. I don't like his football, but I think he's probably better than the other 2 managers.
I disagree.
If you had your own team, who would you want then as manager? Out of those 3.
Probably Chris Wilder if I had to pick from those 3, but I'd rather have Michael Carrick, but that's just me.
Well, yeah, obviously they probably would.
Or actually, to be fair, maybe Frank Lampard at this point.
The one thing I would say though, with Leeds, I wouldn't say that 2-2 draw was the most shocking result. They lost to Portsmouth. Are we forgetting that?
Colby
Yeah,
Bishop.
but you look at Portsmouth.
I know. If you look at their home form, Their home form is absolutely ridiculous. Portsmouth. I think they lost to. They lost last week. I think at home. Yeah, they lost to.
They lost to Millwall the other week.
They lost to Portsmouth at home. Sorry, Plymouth at home, which is a game you'd expect them to. What have you done that for?
Someone needs to tighten.
That's why you don't fiddle with the mics.
It wasn't close enough to my mouth.
No,
Of course it wasn't.
but going back to it, Portsmouth beat Leeds at home, and then they lost to Plymouth at home. So, whilst their home form's been good, they are beatable at home, and Leeds should have won that game. And if you look at the stats, they had 2.3 expected goals and couldn't score. I mean, maybe that speaks more to Michael Cooper. Not Michael Cooper, the Plymouth goalkeeper though. Nicholas Schmidt, who got man of the match.
Just double check his thing is still recording, isn't it? Yeah.
Sorry.
Just leave the mic alone, man.
It wasn't quite right.
This is what happens when we have Henry hosting. Doesn't happen when we were here alone. We managed it fine, didn't we?
Anyway, shall we move on to the promotion race? We can all debate as to who's going to get the automatics, but who's going to get those playoff positions, boys?
I think they're coming for.
You think? I'm not sure about West Brom.
Bristol City have a quite hard running.
Do they?
West Brom have dropped off massive.
The team I want to look. No, they're unbeaten the last 6. I know they haven't won many of those games, but they're unbeaten.
But if you look at the start of the season, the first I think they won the first 4 major. Had
Carlos
top goals
left to go to Valencia.
They've got Adam Armstrong. If they cannot get top 6 with Adam Armstrong, there is something wrong.
All I'd say is the shocking team down there, because the last few weeks when you've been looking at it, is one of the teams that's remained constant is Blackburn, who've dropped down to 9th. I know the points are very close, so it's not like they've dropped off massively, but they haven't been very good since Eustace left.
I mean,
they've
Valerian Ismail came in
the last 5 games.
That's not the greatest.
And he didn't work somewhere else.
In the last 5 games, they've picked up 1 point, which was against Norwich.
I don't think Blackburn fans were thrilled when they appointed Ismail.
Where was he last?
So
it was
Watford.
I actually did an article on Ismail the other week. So he started off in Germany, then went to Austria. First championship job was the one where he made a name for himself at Barnsley, where he got that side into the top 6. Went to West Brom, failed at West Brom. Went to Besiktas, failed at Besiktas. Then went to Watford, and obviously every manager fails at Watford.
You can't hold that.
You can't succeed. You can succeed and still fail at Watford.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But no, his football isn't the nicest. I'll give him that. But it's
you'll give him that, will you? He's got ugly football. You'll give him that one.
No, I'll give Blackburn that. Like, I don't mind him as a manager. I actually quite like him, but it's his football and it's just not working at Ewood Park. I wouldn't sack him this season. I'll give him if I'm Blackburn, I'm giving him a pre-season.
Well, you have to give him to the end of the season. Now you've appointed.
Yeah, but no, I think you give him a pre-season as well.
But they have fallen off a lot since.
Yeah, I don't think they won't get playoffs.
Maybe that talks levels to the coach that Eustace is rather than the coach that Ishmael is. But they're 5 points off playoffs now. I thought they were going to be shoo-ins to get it. I mean,
Eustace isn't exactly having the greatest season.
You've got Leeds, Sheffield United and Burnley. Whichever one of them doesn't get the auto spot will be in the playoffs. Sunderland are basically confirmed there now. I think Coventry are probably a certain one.
I wouldn't say
their form is very good though.
I would say
under Frank Lampard, they're a completely different team. I think that last one's the one that's up for grabs, and I would say West Brom are probably your favourites, but they've been patchy all season. You don't really know.
I mean, for the audience at home, what other teams are in the running for that?
So you've got Bristol City in 7th. They're on the same points as West Brom. Middlesbrough 3 points behind that. Blackburn 2 points behind that, and Watford level on points with Blackburn.
No, I don't think Watford.
And then Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday 1 point behind that. So it's quite close.
I'd put my money on Middlesbrough actually.
No,
I think they've got. I have said this every week. I do love it. But look at the talent in that squad. If they can click, they've got this.
I said this as well, but they've been. We spoke about this. They were poor form at the time, and they still are. I don't think they've got the momentum to get into it.
No, they've not at all.
I think if it clicks, even in the last few weeks, if it clicks, I think it could. Look at how good they had a really good run of form just before January, and then obviously a few signings in January it just kind of fell off a little bit because I think the chemistry was just knocked off balance. If he can fix that issue, and he has a good run of games in the back end, I think he can squeeze in there.
Since we last spoke about them a lot, they have got 3 wins in 5. The other game was a draw and a loss. So they lost to Swansea 1-0, which is a shocking result for them. And they drew to Luton 0-0, Which is a
which
bad
should
result,
be a
mate.
good
It's a bad
result, but it
result.
isn't really.
It's an awful
It should
result.
Not
no,
this
yeah,
season.
it's a bad result this season. But they beat QPR, fair enough. That's a good win.
Yeah.
They beat Derby, which you'd expect them to do, and they beat Stoke, which you'd expect them to do. So not really that impressive.
What's
It's
their
kind
run of
of what
games
you'd
looking
expect.
like?
Before that though, they lost 5 in a row.
Oof.
But their next coming games, they've got Oxford United, which they should win. Then
yeah.
they've got a big promotion clash against Blackburn away at Ewood Park. Then they face league leaders Leeds. Then Millwall away, Plymouth at home, Wednesday away, Norwich at home, and then last day of the season they've got Coventry away.
Nah,
It's
I
not
don't
great.
think
They're
they
not
get it.
getting
They don't get it.
That is
I
probably. I haven't looked at the other games, but I'd say that's probably the hardest running out of any of those teams. I'd imagine.
there's what 3 games in there that are really tricky. The rest I probably should expect them to
Well,
win.
no, because you
Yeah,
think
but this
about
is Middlesbrough.
you got to think
could say
you
that
got
about
to think
anyone.
contextual as well though. Plymouth are going to be fighting for their lives. They're in a relegation battle. They're going to be one of the toughest games away from home, like in the next 5 games.
But one of
because
the
they have to win.
one of the tricky games that I mentioned is Norwich, and then they're not fighting for anything. They're just in the mid-table now, so that one might be easier if you look at it contextually.
I still think they're always going to give you a hard time.
Yeah, they are, but that's not the point.
And the thing is, even them, they're only 8 points off of it. They're not going to get into it. But
No.
if you go down to 12th, any of those teams,
Norwich
technically
can't
could.
go up. I'm not. It can't happen. I cannot
I
have
don't
Ipswich
think-
get
no,
relegated
it's-
and Norwich get promoted. It would be the
That's
worst
what
day
I feel
of my
about
life.
Coventry.
Oh Jesus, I must imagine. But no, I still put money on Middlesbrough. I think Finn Azaz is just ridiculous as a footballer. Like some of the performances he's played this season have been. I don't know where he's come from. So I
Well,
reckon.
Plymouth.
Yeah, I know
Or
that.
Villa, technically.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
But I reckon he could carry them to the end of the season. And again, Michael Carrick is a great manager. He will
Is he
be able
though?
to make it
How
click.
proven is he? I do think he's good.
He's had an
But how can
unbelievable
you-
squad at Middlesbrough.
How
the past
can you
few
make
years.
the claim that he is a great manager? I think you can say he's been good, but I don't think you can say he's been a
not
great
great.
manager.
I
He's
think
not done anything
he-
out of this world.
He
'Cause
got a team playing well, which was fantastic a couple of seasons ago. Then since then they've sold pretty much all of their best players. And if you look at the squad at the start of this season, it was awful.
It wasn't.
It
They had
was.
Latte Lath, who's one of the best strikers in the league. They had Finn Azaz, who's one of the best wingers in the league. I think they have a good keeper, if I'm right. Am I right? in
They had
thinking
Sonny Dieng at the start
Yeah,
of the
he's
season.
a very
I
good
believe-
keeper.
No, they got Mark Travis now, haven't
They've
they?
got Hayden Hackney.
A
who's
lot
one
of
the
their
best
pl-
midfielders in that.
They've
team.
got a couple of their players staged, yeah, I understand. But but in January they've signed a bunch of fantastic footballers. Finn Azaz was still there, I'll give you that. But at the time, Latte Lath hadn't done anything last season.
He did.
Are you
Sorry.
okay? Are you okay?
What? Hang on, right. I need to get this up now. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to
Latte
look
Lath
this
is
up.
one of the top. Might have been
This
in the top
season
scorer.
he was
wasn't.
been
No,
fantastic.
It was Sammy Smodics was top.
Smiley was
but
top scorer,
but
Latte
right.
Lath was close.
last season he got 11 goals. No,
Which
sorry,
is
that was this
okay.
season. 18 goals. 36 games, 18 goals and 1 assist last season.
It's not bad,
You can't
but
knock that.
In
It's
36
not bad.
games.
That's that. I think that
but
was.
no one
third
expected him to
scorer.
score 11 in how many games was it this
Hang
season?
on, let me look.
Yeah, but he's
Um,
only been there. He left in
38
January.
games in championship.
Exactly, that's
so
what I'm
far.
saying. So he's 11 goals in what 15.
Last
15, 17
season
games?
he
He's
was
fantastic.
he was joint 6th top scorer.
Sixth.
Technically 5th top scorer because there was another one joint above him.
But like, it's not Adam Armstrong. It's not Carlos. You got what I'm saying, right?
But he's a
It's-
great striker still.
I can't believe you
All
are
I'm
dissing
saying is,
Latte Lath.
if you look at that squad that he's had the whole time he's been there, every season before the season, when people are making predictions, they're like, yeah, Middlesbrough should be pushing for the playoffs. This is where they'll be. And that's where they are. He's not done anything exceptional because that squad is expected to be near the playoffs.
I think he's rebuilt a squad which was torn apart from sales and has made it fantastic. And to be fair, I still don't rate that. I'm not going to feel judged for that. I don't think he'll do that great. He wouldn't go up to the Prem, I don't think. But he's managed to get quite a lot of goals out of him. So fair play. I think that comes down to great managerial ability, if I'm being honest.
I think you're overrating him because he's an ex-United person. To be
Maybe a
honest.
little bit. I think there's no way I can completely
You can't
remove
say
bias,
he's been
but-
great though, because that's like me saying if Jamie Vardy was to go off and manage a club and they were first in the league every year and they won the league, saying, oh my god, he's an amazing manager just because he's done what's expected of him. It's like if Vincent Kompany goes and wins the Bundesliga. Is that making him a great manager?
Well,
No,
yeah,
absolutely not, but-
yeah.
No,
Not
no,
a great
no.
manager. They're expected to do that.
Yeah.
If
They
win-
didn't win it last season.
If they won the Champions League, then
They
that's a
didn't win it
different
last season.
story. But
Yeah. Well, let's not dwell too much on the
Yeah.
Bundesliga. I think we could
Yeah.
leave that to our friends on the Purple Show. Go check it out if you haven't already. And leave your thoughts down below. What do you think of Middlesbrough? Do you think they can get promoted? And what do you think of Latte Lath? Because apparently that's a hot topic now. I didn't know.
I don't get how you don't rate him.
Just
He's
don't.
been
He's
he's been amazing in
crazy.
both the seasons. I wanted us to sign him like in the summer. I thought he'd be great in the Premier League.
Mm.
Like I think he's a really good striker. I'm surprised he went to the MLS.
Yeah.
But
Shall we talk about the relegation?
I was going to
zone?
say, should we talk about relegation?
Let's do
Because
it.
Derby I think they came from behind to beat Plymouth 3-2.
No, I think they were winning most of the game. They were 2-0.
Yes.
They were 2-0
Yeah.
up, and then
Yeah, they
bottled
were 2-0 up, and the
three,
famous song.
3 wins in a row. Not good. I do not want them to stay up.
Well, especially when you consider one of them was against Coventry, who hadn't lost in I think 12 or 13 games,
Yeah.
and the other one was against Blackburn, where obviously you have the whole
The
Eustace
Eustace
story
Derby.
thing.
The Eustace Derby.
Yeah, they scored 2 goals in 14 minutes, was it?
Yeah.
The opening 14?
Yeah.
No, 2 goals in 7 minutes.
7
Seven.
minutes.
Yeah,
half
third
that
and
time.
7th minute they scored. So yeah, they're on a very good run of form. Can they rescue it?
I mean, we said they were out of it.
Because
But we
Cardiff,
also said Plymouth. were
Cardiff
out of
haven't
it.
been in
Yeah,
good form
exactly.
above them. But
I
then,
said Cardiff quite a few
well,
weeks
then
ago. I don't
again,
think they're good enough.
Cardiff in their last 5 games, they beat Hull, they lost to Burnley, which is like fair enough. They lost to Sunderland, which is fair enough. Then they lost to Luton, which is a game you'd expect them to
Yeah.
win, and they just went and beat Blackburn.
Yeah, but all the
Will
team-
Alves getting an
All
assist.
the
Cardiff
teams in the
ain't going
bottom
down.
7 have won a game in their last 2. All the
Yeah.
teams in the bottom 7.
Yeah, I know
So-
they should be doing better,
Yeah.
but I don't think you can say they're going to be doing worse than Derby. I mean, you've got to look at the games they got next. Derby have Preston, Swansea, Burnley, Portsmouth away, by the way, which makes it harder. Luton, which is obviously massive.
At home to Luton.
Yeah. Then West Brom away, Hull away, and then Stoke at home.
There's winnable
I think
games
I
in
don't.
that.
I
There's
don't.
winnable ones.
I think Derby could stay up.
Cardiff.
I don't think Cardiff will go down. Like, can you imagine Cardiff in League One, biggest club in Wales? Yeah, bigger.
I think the Swansea fans might not agree with you there.
I know,
but
they won't, but biggest Cardiff, the biggest club in Wales.
Well, if you go to Cardiff games, they've got Wednesday, QPR, Preston, Stoke, Sheffield United, Oxford, West Brom, and Norwich. So I'd say
I think
both.
Cardiff fine.
I think
Both
both
very
teams have
similar.
similarly
Yeah.
hard games. I think they're probably quite similar
think-
to me.
I still think
Momentum's
Stoke go
with-
down.
one team we haven't really considered actually that are down there and definitely could go down is Hull, because we all rated Hull's January window, because obviously they got what's his face, didn't they, from Stockport?
In the last
Lou Barry.
5,
Lou Barry, and he's not done much.
in the last 5, they've got 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. So
And
it's
the
pretty good
loss
form.
Not
was the-
terrible, no.
And the loss was to,
What's
was
their
to
running
Cardiff.
looking like?
Their running is Luton, Wednesday, Watford, Cov, Swansea, Preston, Derby, Portsmouth.
I think it'll be Stoke.
Very winnable games.
I still
I
think
think
I'm
Stoke-
still convinced Stoke will go
Well,
down.
I was about to say Stoke
I still think they'll
have
go
the
down.
hardest. They still have to play Leeds and Sheffield United, along with
Exactly.
Wednesday. They have to play Cardiff, who's their rival down there, Luton, another rival down there, and Derby as well. So they have to play
Yeah.
all
I
3.
think Stoke go down. Honestly, I
could
said
do.
this the other week.
John Eustace has not done a great job since coming in.
Mark Robbins, isn't it?
You mean Mark Robbins?
Oh yeah, Mark Robbins. I've got the
You're not
Oh,
with
you're
it.
not with it,
are you?
Yeah, Jesus, I'm tired. I don't know if you guys can tell. Too busy working, you see. Yeah, not done great. Obviously, he was very well respected at Coventry, but
I wouldn't say it's particularly Mark Robbins' fault.
No.
still
no,
think
he's
there's a
working
good
with a
manager.
poor squad. But you'd expect somebody of that managerial quality in the championship
I
to
think
do
there's
better.
just so much wrong at that club, though.
There
Look,
is.
look,
Oh,
at the,
yeah.
look from the top of the club down. I think it starts there and it works its way all the way down, and that's the problem with the club.
Yeah.
It's not a factor of
John Walters in the job he's doing. I can't specifically remember the role he has, but the role he's in, he's doing an awful job.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Stoke is you look at it, they've got so many issues off the pitch as well, and that's why they don't
getting
mind.
relegated from the Prem though. How many years they've
I
been
don't
in
think
the
they
playoffs?
finished
They've-
top half,
no.
have they?
They'd
They might have finished
they'd
one.
won half decent
Yeah.
season. I think that was the second year after they went down.
Something
And
like
you
that.
always think Stoke is quite a big club. Like you remember some of the players they had. They
Yeah.
had Peter Crouch. They had they've had big names before. And in the Prem, they stayed up
Yeah.
for quite a while.
And they had a really decent season, didn't they? Where they had Jack Butland playing for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan Shawcross, a couple of other boys.
Bojan.
Who was their striker? Bojan was there.
Yeah.
They had that really good season.
Yeah.
Shaqiri.
Arnautovic and
Shaqiri
Shaqiri. That was
was
it.
there.
That front two.
Zedan Shaqiri played for them.
Shaqiri, sorry, what? And then
Yeah.
obviously they then had a really terrible season the next year and went down.
Yeah.
They
went down in
and they
18th,
never really
didn't they?
recovered. That first season they went down was that they had still had they kept Jack Butland being a massive one. They kept
Well, they
a
had
really
Jack
good
Butland
squad.
for years. I thought.
Yeah,
they did.
He stayed for quite a while.
He did, and then
But
it went
he
to
struggled
us.
in the championship. Like,
Now he's doing well
he
at
really- he
Rangers.
really
I
did
think.
He's got Rangers,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
it's
doing
Rangers,
quite well there as well.
yeah, but
Yeah. But I think you can see a lot of aging goalkeepers go out there and do really well. Obviously, Joe Hart went out there for a bit, and now
Casper now, yeah.
Casper Schmeichel.
Yeah.
I just think Stoke will go down.
I
just
can
could
see
have
it.
to will.
They're 1 point ahead of Derby.
But I would
So,
also, again,
very
going back to
close.
Hull, I'd say Louis Barry is now out
Yeah,
until
he's
mid-April,
injured.
and he only played 4 games.
Can Oxford and Portsmouth get dragged into it? 5
I
points
think
apart or
Portsmouth,
not?
Portsmouth are too good at home.
Yeah.
They won't go.
I
Sorry,
hope-
4
I
points
hope
above.
Oxford.
They're only 4 points above the
Oxford have got a
Yeah,
really
they-
tough run in, I would say, because they've got to play Sunderland, they've got to play Leeds,
So
they've got to play Sheffield United.
who have they got? Yeah, they got Middlesbrough next, Sheffield United after that, then QPR, then Sheffield Wednesday, then Luton, then Cardiff, then Sunderland, then Swansea. That's not very easy.
those
And
Luton
those
and
two games
Cardiff
against Luton and
are
Cardiff
enough
are
to keep
huge.
them up.
both of the Wales games are away, which like you got to think about travel.
I don't
mean,
think that really takes.
But
No,
Cardiff,
don't
going to Cardiff and Swansea.
But Oxford are a kind of Western club anyway, so
True,
like,
I guess,
it's
yeah.
not the worst.
But
journey.
either way, they've got hard games and they're only 4 points above the relegation zone with a
Let's-
limited squad.
Let's be honest about Oxford, and I'm going to try not to be biased here. They were probably expected to go back down if we
Yeah.
start the
24th,
season.
yeah, 24th for sure. Everyone.
So
had
they
them
are
there.
punching anyway. They're playing really well. Their manager's doing a great job. I don't know why Des Buckingham got sacked. I
That
thought
was crazy.
That was crazy. But they've come in with a new guy and he's doing well.
Garrett. I wouldn't say he's doing brilliant, Garrett.
Well, he's doing well.
They had
He's keeping them up.
I think their win at the weekend was their first in 7 or 8.
They've not longer than that. They've not won since the 25th of January, apart from that game against
So,
Oxford.
yeah, so I don't think Rowett's doing
Against
an
Oxford?
all too.
Against Watford.
Watford, you said Oxford.
I don't think Rowett's doing all too
No.
great of a job.
He's not doing
I
badly.
do like
though.
Rowett, even though he's managed Derby. I do like Rowett.
He would
but-
not have been my first choice, but if he is able to keep Oxford up, that is a massive achievement
Yeah.
for him and for Des Buckingham as well, because he deserves the credit for that as well,
Yeah.
for building such a good squad. And they lost their best player last season, Josh Murphy, who went to Portsmouth.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
So he can stay up. That's fantastic.
I
But
think because they had a lot of defensive injuries. I know because I follow it a bit, obviously, because we got players on loan there. But Ben Nelson's just come back.
Nice.
But I know that purely because he got thrust straight into the starting 11 because their other centre back got injured as he's come back. So they've got big injury issues
They do.
at the back. Because as soon as one player's out, the next one. So as soon as one player's back, the next one comes out. So
yeah,
they're struggling a lot with injuries.
they are, but they've got some good strength and depth there. Cam Brannigan is
Really good.
very good. Do you remember a few years ago?
He got
I'm
linked to
going
every
back to
club.
FIFA here. Do you remember when Preston had Pearson in midfield?
Ben Pearson.
He was like the one gold card in Championship. He's
Yeah.
just like, that's what Cam Brannigan reminds me of. Just like a quality player
He's very
who's
good.
just going to stay there for years, but he's just a fantastic player who's just in the Championship for like no reason.
Mm.
And I reckon he stays, keeps him up.
Anyway, should we move on to
Yeah.
League One?
Well, there's
League
a big
One.
result between second and third, wasn't there?
Yeah.
1-0 win for Wrexham over promotion
Wickham.
rivals Wickham.
Mm.
Big
'Cause
win.
We all ruled out Wrexham, didn't we? Well, you guys.
Well,
did
we didn't
anyway.
rule them out. We just said that we thought Wickham weren't far enough ahead, but now they're level on points.
Who didn't rule them out?
I think.
I wonder who that was. I wonder who didn't rule them out.
Oh, well done. You've got one opinion right in your whole career.
No, because I got the Championship call right as well with Leeds.
It's
well,
not over yet.
I'm just going to say
Leeds.
they're still in first place.
You're not for
You
long,
count them
though.
up, They're
Not
still
for
in
long.
first place with the best goal difference by
Mate.
far.
I am going to be proven right at the end of the season, and I'm going to love it.
said it as well.
so it's not just you.
Thank you.
But I know
This side of the room is going to be better.
I know Birmingham lost at drew at the weekend, but
Funny.
to
But there's-
Northampton, but it doesn't matter.
It
They're
did-
enough clear. They're enough clear.
I tell
No.
you, I'm telling you, I cannot wait for them to get humbled in the Championship. I
Oh,
cannot
I hope
wait.
we beat them 3-0 and 5-0 next season. That's
Honestly.
what I
What?
want.
Such an insult
Right, hang on.
football club.
Take the bias out of it for a second. What is the current expectations of Birmingham?
I think they'll stay up, to be honest. I
Mid-
don't
I think
want
they'll
them
stay
to,
up,
but I
yeah.
think
But
look
what-
at their squad.
Where in the league do you reckon they finish?
18th, I'm going to say. So
I've
pretty
only just-
comfortably.
Comfortable,
Bottom half,
like lower
bottom
mid-table.
half, bottom
Yeah.
half.
Bottom half, but they stay up.
But
reckon about 14th.
their fans are
They
thinking.
could. I think I
I
can see
reckon
that.
14th.
Their fans are thinking they're going to get promoted again. It's like,
Oh, no,
such
I
I
Oh,
haven't
no,
seen.
no,
I haven't
no.
seen that.
No,
Because it could be interesting if they come up and they just.
What I'd
bottom
say
it and
is,
just-
so their
relegate
attack,
straight
if
away.
they can keep their attack together, and Jay Stansfield, they've obviously got Alfie May as well. Then they'll do well. But then I would
I
say
think they
their,
will.
their defense might be a bit weak. But if they can bring in some reinforcements, then maybe they'll be all right. I mean, they do concede like not many goals in this league, but you've got to consider the teams they're playing.
They've got Ben Davis back. Obviously, played for Liverpool.
Yeah,
So-
that's a great signing.
Yeah, and Clara.
but
They have
is
some
very
good
as
players, but I
well.
don't think it's a
I
very
don't-
resolute
they're not
defence.
gonna
It's a massive
anywhere
city.
near playoffs.
It's a massive city. They've got lots of funding behind them. They will be able to attract better players next season.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd ask though as well is with Charlton, they're only 5 points off. Can they get into this? Because I mean, if you look at their form, I don't know, but
The form's been great.
when did they last lose a game?
Nathan Jones doing a great
15th of
job.
February, they lost to Birmingham, but that's expected. The last time they lost to another team that wasn't top of the league was 18th of January, so
Ooh.
nearly 2 months ago.
Mm.
So
That is
they're-
fantastic
Really good.
form.
Yeah.
And they've got Peterborough, Huddersfield, Mansfield, Lincoln, Cambridge, Northampton. Wickham and Wrexham and Burton.
Nah, probably not.
So
Then.
if they win both those
But
games,
I reckon they can win most of the games leading up to those games.
If they win both those games and they're 3 points behind both those teams going into it, and they beat both of them,
I think we come back to this before those 2 games.
yeah, oh for sure,
It's going to be like a mini playoff before the playoffs.
Another club fighting for playoffs we need to talk about is Huddersfield Town. Obviously,
yes.
got rid of Michael Duff. I don't know if have they appointed someone new yet. Can you just
I'll
double
have
check
a
for
look.
me?
I'll have a looky here.
Don't think.
So in the
Well,
last
this
game
says
against
it's Michael
Crawley,
Duff, so this clearly doesn't know.
Jonathan Warrington, but I think that might be
Oh, the
caretaker.
interim, yeah.
I think he's the interim coach. Yeah, he's the under-21s coach.
But no, there was expectation for Huddersfield this season to bounce back.
I thought they would.
Yeah.
I thought they would as well.
They've struggled. They've been a club, obviously, apart from that year they got to playoff final.
Yeah.
They've been a club where they've just struggled every year, and obviously they're in the playoffs.
They were
now,
somehow in the Prem for a year.
but
Which-
2 years.
2
2
seasons.
years.
2, I forgot they were in
Their
there for 2
second
years.
season was quite poor.
Yeah,
Second season
was awful.
syndrome. It does
Yeah.
happen.
It is.
But that is huge.
I
They have
think-
Prem money, so
No, I
No,
don't
they
think they do
don't.
anymore.
They
I
don't.
don't think so.
They
I think
really
they've
don't.
spent it poorly, to be honest. I don't know, but I think they've probably spent it quite poorly.
Yeah.
But I would say I really hope Wrexham don't come up.
I'd rather
You
Wrexham.
really don't want them to come up, do
I
you?
want Wickham to come up.
I'd rather Wrexham go up than Birmingham.
Well, yeah, but I'd rather. Yeah, but that's
Birmingham's
not
so far clear,
look,
though.
that's not a question. We're talking about Birmingham breaking the points record at this
I
point.
hope they don't.
Wickham, I'd rather come up than Wrexham. They're a more likeable club in my opinion.
They are a more likable club. I think they would be if all 3 of those clubs came up. I think Wickham would be the one to perform the worst
Yeah.
Probably.
I like
because
the
just because
story,
of
though.
funding.
Wrexham would just fucking break the bank and go like that.
100.
I-
Like every player out of contract in the Prem would go to Wrexham.
Yeah.
I like the story of Wrexham though.
I
I know
could-
not many
so do I.
people do,
I-
but I actually
I enjoy
like
the
it.
documentary.
I could see so many big players going to Wrexham if they go up to the Championship because it's only a level below the Prem. And if you say to players when they're joining, look, we've got this project, we're signing this player, and this player, then they'll buy into the project and they could
Yeah.
even
It's,
push
it's,
the top
ba-
half.
it's
And-
basically
and
It will
you've
be
got to think
interesting
about-
though to see what they do because they've always brought players from coming outside the Championship. So now when they enter it,
Will they buy Prem?
they're going to have to buy more proven
Yeah,
players that are still at that level.
How many
to
players are out of
perform.
contract in the Prem right now? Because I reckon a few of them go Wrexham.
Well, yeah, there'll be a few. I mean, the one I don't really want to say the name of,
Willy Bolly.
but could
Vardy.
technically is Vardy.
It's Vardy. Yeah.
It's a kind of story where
It makes a
but
lot of
then,
sense.
Then again, I don't think he would purely because we're going to be in that league and he's not going to want to play against us.
No, that's a good one.
I
It
don't.
depends
I
if you
think,
get relegated or not.
I think if Vardy's to leave, he'd probably go to Saudi Arabia.
I'm still not sold on whether or not you get relegated.
I don't think
That's
he'll
just-
go
Well, we'll
Saudi
leave that
Arabia
for God's
at all.
sake.
We will.
He's got his wife's legal
But it's like-
fees to pay.
Wrexham is kind of just it's a similar story to Luton, but they spend money instead of Luton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they could make their way. They're basically the money version of Luton.
I'd
Could
say
make
so,
their
yeah.
way to the from National League to Prem in such a short space of
They just
time.
went
Well,
bang,
it would be
bang,
back
bang,
to back to back to back. To back even one
If
more.
they got to
It'd be
Prem.
4 in a row if they got to
as
Premier
long
League
as
in the
as
next
long
time.
as
I
someone,
don't think they will, but they
No,
will
they
come up
won't.
and do reasonably
as
well.
someone as long as someone in the Championship.
Although we've seen it happen before.
I do think they'll
We
be.
saw it happen last season.
Look, I'm gonna
I'll say
say
something
I'm
there,
gonna
mate.
say this. I think they could be completely shocked, but
Back to back.
I could be completely wrong here. But I think if Wrexham do go up, they will get shocked next season by
No.
the quality. I think it's a big jump from League One to the Championship.
long as-
I
I
know
know
what
they'll
you're
make it
saying.
into the Prem in a number of years.
In
Not
a
next
number,
season, in number of years.
But yeah, I agree. But I think they're going to expect. Look, we can finish 8th next season or something like
So-
that. And that they can push for playoffs, and they'll
like
realistically be-
Birmingham.
But realistically, they'll be about 12th or 13th, I reckon.
When you compare the 3 clubs, I think you look at Birmingham and you look at Wickham and you go, there's a couple of players in there that I reckon could get sold next summer, even if they go up. Like for example, Kone, I think 100% goes to a bigger club.
Yeah.
But Jay Stansfield, I reckon, stays because if he can,
Yeah, it sounds
if he
right.
scores 20 goals next season in the Championship, then he's got a
But
Premier
will
League. Then he
Kone
goes.
leave if he sees a long-term project?
Well, no. A club is going to have to pay a lot of money
That's
for
what I mean.
Stansfield. A lot of money because they brought
Was
him
it
for.
10 million they spent on it?
Sure, they spent a
15,
lot more.
wasn't it?
I think
it
it
was
was
like 20.
15
I think it was 20.
Jesus. So yeah, he's going to a Prem club, but in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
But with Wrexham, I can't think of a player who someone would really want to buy.
As long as someone snaps James McLean.
I don't think there's any players at Wrexham
Jesus
I
Christ.
hate him.
that's
Hate him.
not there that don't see a long-term project. So not long-term,
Yeah.
but don't see a few years there.
Yeah.
They're fit into a side. They're comfortable there.
But then again, how good is this squad for the Championship? Because I don't
But
think
they're
they're
on
good.
rest. They're
Like
on
the
rest
only,
heavily.
I know, but the only player I know in that squad is Matty James, and I only know him because of Leicester. That's the only one I know
you've
who
got
he
Paul,
is. I know
Paul
his career.
Mullin. You've got Elliot Lee.
But he doesn't start anymore, Paul Mullin.
He's probably injured.
Stephen
He might
Fletcher's
be. He could
there.
be. I don't know.
Elliot Lee's been fantastic. Obviously, ex-West Ham striker, now moved back into the midfield. And is a
But again,
goal threat from that
he's
position.
not started their last couple of games either. If you look at the game against Wickham, he's not
Who's
started
their
that.
striker currently? Is it Stephen Fletcher? Still?
It is
It'll
Sam
be
Smith, who I don't know who that
Oh,
is.
I know.
is.
I think
They've got
I know.
They have got Jay Rodriguez, to be fair. I didn't realise
Yeah,
they
I
had him.
forgot that.
I didn't know they had
Oh,
him, to be
yeah,
fair.
in Southampton.
But okay, so they have a couple of good players, but still, I don't think that looking at the squad, like Matty James, for example,
But
he's not Championship quality.
Right, I'll tell you right now, this won't be the squad that plays in the Championship. They're going to sign a bunch of players, and I'm going to tell you who those players are going to be right now. Not Kevin De Bruyne. No, maybe not. Right, let's have a look. Oliver's out of contract.
Huh?
Oliver's out of contract.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He ain't going
He's not
Wrexham.
going Wrexham, no.
He ain't going Wrexham, mate. Yeah.
I
Right,
wouldn't be surprised if Henry said that though.
I'm going to throw some names out there that I think could happen. First one's I'm going to start. They're going to get less ridiculous as I go. Okay, I reckon Callum Wilson would do it.
No.
I reckon
Piss right
he does
off.
not play for Newcastle anymore. I reckon he could do it.
He
No,
could
but
go
he'll
in the
go-
he could go to
That's-
another
that's-
Premier
How
League
old
club.
is
that's
Callum
my most
Wilson?
ridiculous
How old
one.
is he?
He's 33 now. That's what I'm
There's a
saying.
chance. There's always a
I'm
chance.
saying,
Jay
I really
Rodriguez,
don't.
he went to
Will
that a few years
Hughes.
ago.
Will Hughes on a free from
Oh,
I
Crystal
think
Palace.
he's played really well for them though this
No,
season.
yeah, Hughes played really well. He
I reckon he could go.
I could see him going to like a club like Brentford or something.
If Tottenham are done with him, potentially Ben Davies.
Yeah,
I can
see
that one
Welsh,
because he's
but
Welsh,
I think
fair
he'll
enough.
get- I think he'll get
If
Prem
Tottenham
move.
can afford to get rid of him,
Look
look for 20 mil. Exactly, yeah. No, I'm joking. Not for them, but I reckon he could still leave. Let's go through some other names there, shall we? Michael Keane,
Don't see it.
potentially.
Wrexham.
I don't
I
see
can't
many
see
people going like Christian Eriksen. Don't because he's going back to Denmark or he's going to
Yeah.
Europe somewhere. I don't think.
Yeah.
Do you recken Liverpool would let Yaros leave because he's out of contract as well?
They don't. Really
Yeah, a
need
talented
keeper.
goalkeeper.
They don't need
Yeah,
a
and
keeper.
they've got a goalkeeper. on
Have
loan
they
at
got
Valencia that they brought.
Okonoro still?
He was
The
Arsenal.
ex-Arsenal one.
He's not. Oh, Wrexham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
I
about
don't
Wrexham.
think
here.
they'll need-
Okonkwo, you mean?
Harry
Yeah.
Toffolo?
Toffolo.
Yeah, 100% would
Toffolo.
go.
Who's Toffolo?
Toffolo
Jamal
could, to
Jamal
be fair.
Lewis, proven championship quality there. He's leaving Newcastle. Cam Burgess from Ipswich was in that squad that got promoted.
He could, to be fair, he
Yeah.
could.
Jack Stevens is on a free. Craig Dawson. Willie Bolly.
No, I want to keep Willie Bobby. I love
Tom
Willie Bobby.
Kearney's going on a free transfer from Fulham. He
I won't-
bangs in the
William,
championship.
I don't think he would.
See
A couple of decent goalkeepers, Danny Ward and Fraser Forster, both on a free
sorry,
transfers.
sorry. Did I just hear Danny Ward and decent in the same sentence?
I'm talking about playing in the championship
Please,
team.
can he leave? To be honest, I would actually say out of all of the free transfers I can see,
Yeah.
Danny Ward's one of the most likely.
Nah,
Yeah.
they
Well,
won't get a
purely
keeper.
because
They
he's
don't
Welsh
get a
and
keeper.
it's
Yeah.
near home
They
for
won't
him.
get a keeper.
James Milner.
Why would they not want Danny Ward?
Because
Honestly.
they've got a good goalkeeper.
They've got a goalkeeper that they've built for leagues.
Aaron
and-
Cresswell.
No.
Ashley Young.
They'll up if they get relegated.
Massimiliano Luongo, who under good management can perform in the championship.
Should we move on though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wrexham,
we've
'cause
got-
we've been
And,
talking
then,
about this for
and then I've
absolutely
got like
ages.
5 goalkeepers here who could all go.
They're not getting a goalkeeper. They don't.
There are
need
so
them.
many coming out of contract. But my point is, right, they're going to sign 11 free transfers from the Premier League and then decent championship team and then build a young team to go up eventually. But
Yeah.
that's what they're going to do.
But either way, should we go down another level?
Yeah,
Because
go
there's
down.
nothing interesting in the relegation battle. It's the same as every week. They're 6 points below everyone else.
And it's now done now.
Yeah.
It's
Have you
100%.
seen Cambridge United have signed a new manager and director of football, though?
Who?
I forget the
Neil
name.
Harris.
Neil Harris.
Neil Harris.
we
we
spoke
And they've
spoke
got
about
a
it
new-
last week.
Oh, do we? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that could be interesting for next season, but I think they go down and come back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, League Two, the gap's now only 3 points at the top.
Oh, damn.
Bradford are catching up.
For Bradford, lost to Tranmere. Oh no, there's one team I need to talk about in League Two. Bloody Bromley. No. So it was the Saturday fixtures last week. Not,
Oh, I know what
not
you're
the
gonna
one that's just
say.
been. I had a ACCA on, and I had all my results come in apart from Bromley losing to relegation-threatened Tranmere Rovers.
They're not relegation threatened really anymore though. They're like 5 points.
Yeah,
clear
because
now.
they won again at the weekend. But no, fuck Bromley.
But either,
Fuck Bromley.
You
Either
can't
way,
hate Bromley because they.
I'm going to say,
lost
either way,
to
true,
getting
United.
back to football that actually matters, Warsaw haven't won in 5.
Oh.
They've lost the last 5. Sorry, they've drawn or lost the last 5. They drew 2-2 to Cheltenham. They lost to Swindon. They drew to like bottom of the league Carlisle.
Jesus.
They lost 3-1 to Grimsby and they drew to Bromley 2-2. So they're not doing well at the moment.
No.
And Bradford, for contrast,
They've
have got
dropped
3 wins in their last 5.
Yeah, but they've lost their last 2.
They have lost their last 2 to Gillingham and to Tranmere.
Tranmere.
Tranmere again.
Twats.
Although, yeah,
You need to relax, bro.
those are
You need to
both
fucking relax.
those are both bad results. Wimbledon are 6 points off, but they're as well having a bad run of form. I mean,
Doncaster.
nobody at the top is doing well.
Port Vale in 6th have won 1 of their last 5. Doncaster in 5th.
Notts County have won 1 of their last 5 as
Is
well.
the league table just not the other way around?
Well, they're one
Because-
Colchester,
Yeah. I
because
was
the teams
about
at the
to say
bottom, the ones
Colchester.
winning.
Colchester have won 5 of their last 5,
Jesus.
and they
They're
haven't lost since the 4th of January.
Mate, they've got Lyle Taylor up front.
They
They're
haven't
just,
lost.
they're just
sorry,
mini Ipswich. They've
Sorry.
just got all our ex-players.
they haven't lost since the 4th of January.
Do you reckon they've
That's
still
2 months.
check if they still got that Tavide? Do you remember?
Yes, against
Do you
Leighton Orient.
remember him?
Oh, the one who got absolutely he whacked the guy into the
yeah,
fence.
we went to Leighton Orient, Colchester at the start of the season in the whatever trophy it's called now. Don't know what it's called.
Virtual Trophy.
Yeah, something like that.
He hasn't played. He didn't play in the last few games.
And the Colchester had a striker called Tavide, and he just pushed a Leighton Orient centre back, from Brandon Cooper, into the advertising board head first, and he got booed all game.
And then he missed a penalty.
He missed a penalty.
Jesus.
There's a size
But that-
penalty.
Well,
Can I
that's just
just-
karma, isn't it? That's just you know what? Don't fuck around.
But all I'd
Push
say
players.
is they are now 5 points off the automatic slots. Every single team above them
Are
is
poor
in
form.
awful form.
Yeah.
Can they do the impossible and come from like mid-table obscurity to coming in the
But
automatic
they've
slots and going up to
done
League
a
One?
fantastic job because
And
for the
they've got-
past 2 to 3
Possible.
years,
Do you want to know what's good about Colchester
they've
as well?
been down there.
Their fan base. They've got really good support. It's loud.
It's
at
very.
home.
It's actually
Yes.
very local to me. I like the club. It's
Yeah.
a good club.
The East Midlands have got some good, decent league.
Sorry,
East
what?
Midlands.
They're in Essex.
For the millionth time, I'm not from the East Midlands. I'm from Essex.
Now, but Colchester's down there, isn't it?
It's
it
in
isn't.
Essex.
It's in Essex.
It's literally
It's
a
literally just
30-minute
outside
drive
London.
from where me and Lenny live.
It's
Who's
20
Ellie?
minutes away from Ipswich, I would
And,
say.
and further
Yeah,
down
it's
as
in
well.
Suffolk.
Yeah.
Look, hang on. I'm
Exactly,
going to
that's
show
what-
you. 'Cause
it's local to Ipswich because obviously
Ipswich
they
are
are
East Midlands.
They are East Midlands.
No, they're
They
not.
are
Oh, East Anglia is what I meant to say.
East Anglia,
Sorry.
yes.
Oh my god.
For context,
I always
For
think
context-
Midlands.
Wolverhampton.
You've had a
context-
I live
stinker
in the East Midlands. That's what I'm
for
saying.
context for you,
East Anglia, sorry.
Colchester's there.
Yeah, no, I know. I
The
live.
East Midlands are there, off away
East Midlands is
from
Nottingham.
yeah.
Where
and,
I'm
and
from,
Leicester.
I'm- East
Right. Okay.
Midlands.
Sorry, I meant to say East Anglia, but it seems like
Christ Almighty, Henry. But either way,
Bunch of
they've
crap.
got a good fan. I do think Colchester have a good fan base. I've been there once or twice. It's a nice stadium. It's I think decent size, about 15k. I think.
Job Serve Stadium, as it was.
Yeah.
It is quite, because they were a championship side for years.
Yeah, but it's a big stadium for that level. They could definitely go up, and I think they could do a job in League One.
I mean, one thing I do want to quickly touch on before we wrap up. Every week, I see the team of the week from League Two, and every week there's a player from MK Dons in there. Yet somehow they are awful.
Oh yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Well, who's playing?
I can't remember. It could be like every
Well,
week. There's at least one.
MK Dons
player
are
in there.
18th.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how are they as
do you
bad
wanna
as
know
they are?
what's bad? Do you wanna-
Stats wise, their top player is football rating wise is Daniel Crowley. Is that the one you're talking about?
Maybe.
Maybe it's him, but it's not one player every week. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Do you
saying there's
wanna-
always at least one player from MK
Do you want to
Dons
know
in
what's
there.
bad? I predicted MK Dons to win the league.
I
Yeah.
don't think that's
I think
terrible
there would
in
have been
terms
some
of like
expectations.
They had
expectations.
expectations.
Given last season they finished fourth, and then they were in League One before that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you'd think 18th is a massive drop off. It's one of those things where I'm quite surprised they're down there,
They're tin pot
and they
anyway.
clearly have some decent players. So what the hell's going on?
They're
Yeah.
tin pot. Tin
That's the
pot.
issue. I think that's a good place to end, don't you?
Awful club.
What do you think about MK Dons? Leave it down in the comments below. I think that's going to be our end point. Yeah, cool, nice. Please leave your thoughts down below on all the topics we've covered today. And if you've got any more things you want us to talk about, leave them below as well. We'll have a read and we'll talk about them. Make sure you're liking and subscribing if you haven't already, and follow us on all our other platforms. And we'll see you here in 2 weeks' time for another Green Show. See you next time.